Hello. Okay, it's that time again. We're going to continue the shirt that we started earlier today. We only have about an hour. It's getting late for me now, but let's see how much we can get done. Okay, go back to the cutting table, which is right there, and bring that up like that. Okay, now, it turned out I made a mistake when I talked about this the last I was on. First of all, we need to have the good side of the shirt up, not the underside, but the outside. Now, the first thing that goes down, let me see if I get this right. The first thing that goes down is the collar. So the collar has to be against the good side of the shirt when we stitch it together. Then next come the interfacing. They are on, again, they'll be facing the good side of the shirt, the outside of the shirt, but they'll be turned inside out after they're stitched on here. Then the under collar, the inside collar, then, of course, still goes last. So all this is the same as far as the order. But just that the face, all this is laid against the good side of the shirt. And that's where I made the mistake, just as I left the previous video. So the first thing that goes down is the collar. So let's take these off for now. Now the collar has to be placed so that it's equidistant from the ends here. So let's measure this out from, say, 20. You can't see that, darn it. Let's go from 10. Can we see that? You can't. Well, let's do this. The shirt opening goes from 10 to 28, so it's 18 inches across. Okay, from here to here. That means halfway across is 9 inches, which is pretty much right in the middle of here. Okay, so that's the middle of the center of the yoke. Now the collar is, actually let's do this. Find the pen and mark that off. So let's go from 10 on the board to 28 on the board. It's like that. That's 18 inches there, so 9 is right about here. So I'm going to mark that off right there. Okay, now, and the collar is from 10 to about 25, that's 15 to 7.5. So that would be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and a half. So the center of the collar is right there. And now what we do, take the center of the collar, put it against the center of the back of the yoke, and we got to come over to the sewing machine. So let's get on to that camera right there, and we'll bring that microphone up like that. All right. I'll get closer here. Now, what we're going to do when we get here, we're going to start from the middle and work my way out. That way, any offset would be minimized. You know, when you're stitching two pieces of fabric together, you start at one end, you're not going to end up at precisely the same point at the other end because of differences in the way each fabric stretches. Now, the proper way to do this in home sewing is to pin everything. Now, that takes a lot of time. So what I do is to minimize the differences, by starting from the center of whatever it is. In this case, it's the collar. It could also be, say, the middle of a sleeve or the middle of the back of the pants, whatever. Okay, so now we start in the middle of the collar. It is facing, I always verify that it's facing the right side of the shirt, okay? And the collar doesn't matter which side is which. Now, I'm going to stitch less than a 1/2 inch seam allowance, because the main seam allowance I will not apply until we put the interfacing on. So this is just to secure the collar to the shirt. I try to stretch, put equal pressure or equal tension on both of them, so they'll stretch about the same. If they don't stretch the same, then you might notice it in wearing the shirt and the offset from the collar to the center of the shirt. I've had some shirts that it grossly mismatches. Now, personally, I don't care. There are those who might notice it, although nobody said anything about it around here. So here is one side of the collar stitched to the shirt, okay? Now we're gonna flip this whole thing around. You notice though, I'm keeping the same side up. That's why I'm turning around to the inside of the machine. Let me kind of move that camera like that, okay. That way, the foot applies some pressure or tension to the fabric, and I want to have that same tension applied to the top fabric as I did in the other direction. So it's going to do the same tension on the same fabric, not going to the opposite side. So hopefully, when I get done with this, the collar would be more or less centered to the back of the garment. Now, as I said, if it's not perfect, so what? But still, I would like to be as close as possible to the ideal location. So let's do something like that. It's about, look at that side, about a little under 2 inches. It's going to be fairly close. So let's get this like so. Okay. Now, get that onto there. It can be fairly close. Let's get that stitched onto there. Okay, good. Now the collar now is secured to the back of the garment, okay? Now the next step is to secure the side interfacing. So let's do this side first. Now here's the neck, and here is the front of the garment, okay? Again, this is the right side, so we're going to grab one of the interfacing. Now, since the interfacing is inside the garment, it does not matter which side of the interface faces out. Important, though, to make sure we stitch the correct one. I made that mistake. This is the side to stitch to the front of the garment, not this one. You can tell because it follows the collar. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start stitching down here. I'm not going to go all the way. I'm just going to start here. Then I do the part on the collar. That way it will stay in position. So here's the down stitch. Let's see. Again, a proper home seamstress will pin this out with a lot of pins. I don't bother with that. Now, while I'm doing this, let's do it a little bit, and let's, again, check the tension of the thread. Things look fine. Okay, let's leave it about there. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to now turn to follow the collar, okay? And remember, I'm on the interfacing side, which is the opposite, so I'm on the side of the interfacing that's opposite to the outside of the shirt. So this, we're going to follow 1/2 inch from the collar line. But this is the standard seam width. Now that also means that we are going to be beyond the seam I did to stitch the collar to the back of the shirt. I want to have that seam, that stitch line to be inside the fold when I fold this back. So it's going to be something like this. Okay, now we got the first interfacing partially secured, at least around the collar. Now we're just going to stitch down the front of the shirt. Let's make sure that, okay, I did not bump into the camera. Okay, so we're just going to continue on down, check the tension, things seem to look okay. All right, double check, we are on the right side. I did a complete garment, a half of a garment once, and it turned out I was sewing the wrong side to the wrong side, not the right side to the right side. And that means when you turn it inside out, you'd have the wrong side exposed out, and you don't want that. That's happened more than once, by the way. And there was a pair of shorts, I don't have them anymore, where on one side of the pair of shorts, the wrong side was out. Now, interesting, I wore that to work, okay? And nobody said anything, okay? Now, it was just myself who was concerned about it, but really, nobody cared. Okay, now this is, you can see that the interfacing is too long. I'm now gonna cut the interfacing off, more or less like so. Now, that takes care of the interfacing for that side of the shirt. Now, we have to do the other side. We'll bring everything over to the other side of the machine. Now, let's see, make sure, okay, now we're gonna be right here. Oh, let's see how we're gonna do this now. Oh, no. Okay. All right, right here, same thing, but now on the opposite side. So now here's the opposite. This is the opposite. Let's see, I want to make sure that's right. So this is the interfacing with the other side. Again, we line it up to the outside of the shirt, right at the edge of the collar, where the collar meets the front, right there. Get that lined up. Like that. And then we do a stitch line and we start it. Okay? Just like we did before. We do a couple of inches down the front of the shirt, like so. Okay? Double check the tension. Things look fine. Now, once again, we follow the collar. Okay, so the reason I do a little bit of the down stitch first is that creates the proper anchor for the interfacing to where it belongs in relation to the rest of the shirt, rather than fiddling with it. While I'm trying to get it to follow the collar, that's already anchored, I don't have to worry about it. So now I'm just gonna follow that seam to make sure that the seam I did to secure the collar itself in the shirt is inside this seam line. Okay, we do that and we're there. Okay, we got the top of the interfacing aligned with the collar. We go back to the front and do that. Repeat what we did with the other side. Something like this. Now, okay, we get that lined up. We go right on down the front of the shirt like that. Okay. Let's see. Now, it's harder for me to do this side, but I'm so used to doing everything, holding everything to the left of the machine, or the left of the foot of the machine. So this takes a little getting used to, and that's when I'm a little bit slower working on this side, on my right-hand side of the foot of the machine. But there we go. We now have this part of the interfacing now anchored to the shirt. We cut that off, cut the excess off. Okay, now that takes care of the interfacing on both sides of the collar, as you can see. Here's the collar, here's the interfacing on both sides. Okay, whoops. The interfacing on both sides, here's the center of the collar. Now, next is to take the under collar. Oh, whoops, let's see, oh, there it is. Okay, so take the under collar, and actually, while I'm at it, I'm going to do a quick sanity check on the sound to make sure that's working. Hello, one, come on now. Whoops, whoop, whoop. We got a little problem. Oh, that's what I've got to do. Oh boy, I keep forgetting I've got to do that. And hopefully I can hear something happening. Why don't I? Okay. As I was saying, here is the undercollar here. We line this up, and whether this is exactly centered, it doesn't matter. Remember, this is not seen at all. As long as it overlaps some on each side, it's okay, because this will be concealed. So we got that. So we're going to start on this side. Something like this. Put that down. We stitch like this. So again, this is the inside or under collar. We're now stitching in place. Okay, let's just verify the tension. Things seem to be okay now. We have to be careful here because there's a lot of fabric under here, because it's all, we're going to a circle and sometimes get bunched up, and it's easy to accidentally get something stuck under the needle of the machine that shouldn't be. Okay, so we're done. Looks like everything went okay. Nothing got caught under the needle of the, oh yes it did. We have a little problem right there. The center of the yoke got caught right there. So this entire stitch line right here is going to have to come out. That can happen so easily. Break that stitch line. You just cannot be too careful on what's going on under the fabric that's under the foot of the machine. This happens all the time. So enough of that ripped up. Pull that free. Pull that. Let's see now. Okay, there we are. That's now pulled free. So what's happened was that got, because there's just so much bunching in there, that was here, and it's bunched in under there. So you have to make sure it's completely pulled out. You have to pull out as you're working along the seam. I should have done that, and I haven't. So now I have to re-stitch this seam that I pulled out. So I'm going to start a couple inches away from it, the margin of safety. Now this thread can come out. Re-stitch that, making sure that we pull this so it is nothing folded in under. Re-stitch that. Okay, and do that. Okay, now we did it. It's clear now. Okay, now that's the easy part. But now we have to turn this whole thing inside out. Uh-oh, something just happened. Oh, the mouse got pulled into everything. So I want to make sure. All right, things seem okay. It's just the mouse got dragged out by the fabric. So I'm going to have to move the laptop further away from the machine. All right. Okay, things look like they're still okay. Now, I was saying, actually, what I could do, let's go back to the cutting table. And let's see, bring that microphone up. Now, it's easier to show it here, what I'm about to do. So here we are. Here is the interfacing, collar, under collar, interfacing, the collar, and here's the back of the shirt. Now, let's make sure things are okay. Did we make a mistake? It looks like we had another glitch right there. Oh boy. Okay. Now what? Yeah, it looks like something got caught right there with the collar on the shirt side. So we have to break those stitches and pull that apart. See how that is. Yeah, right there. See, that got pulled in, pulled under right there. All right. It looks like that might have, let's see. So I'm going to have to re-stitch. How do we do that? Okay, so what we have to do is right there. We may have to live with that. Didn't have enough missing. There it is, right there. That has to be re-stitched. Okay. All right, do a quick trip to the sewing machine. That shouldn't take long at all. Hopefully that does it. It may not be perfect. But then again, you're not going to notice it from 20 feet away on the street. Okay. Okay, we're going to turn. Okay, now what we have to do, we turn everything inside out. Okay, so all these get turned inside out, including the collar area, like this. All this gets turned inside out. Oops, I've got to put it in the camera. Here's the collar. Now here's the right side of the shirt. So here's one side of it. You pull this down. There's the collar and the front. Okay. And we repeat on the other side. Where did it go? It's right here. Okay, here's again the collar. And underneath, that's the right side of the shirt. It's going to be something like this. Now, the place where we had the glitch on the shirt, that's going to be under the collar. So actually, it's going to be turned out, that's not going to be seen. So now, what we have to do, we're going to be sewing a top stitch through this is the front outside of the shirt. Here's the interfacing. So we're going to start here, and then it's going to go, now we have the shirt, the collar, and interfacing. Then here we have the shirt, the interfacing, let's see, the shirt, the collar, interfacing, and undercollar right here, okay, and then so forth and so on. Now, the trick is, all this has to be constantly pulled away, otherwise it's so easy. Once again, something's going to happen and something get caught under, as happened before. This is actually worse because the undercollar right here can easily flip up under the foot of the machine. You have to constantly check that as I'm slowly working my way across the thing. So what I'm going to go across this whole thing. Then I will go down each side of the front of the shirt. So let's go back to the machine. Okay, this is going to be slow. Okay, so let me bring that back up where that belongs. We'll go to the camera at the machine, and just to make sure, okay, I'm going to get the mouse on the other side of the computer away from where I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff at the machine. So this is going to be hard for you to, unfortunately, this is going to be a bit hard for you to see. I'm going to try my best. Here is the corner right there. I want to make sure that that corner is fully pushed out from inside, like that. Now, we're going to start the stitch right here. Make sure the top is also pushed out. My fingers inside, between the inside of the shirt and the interfacing. That's now pushed out. We start that stitch about 1/2 inch in because it's up. Let's go ahead and start right at the edge like that. 1/2 inch in like that. Okay. So this is a top stitch. So now I'm just going to start it. Okay, now before I go much further, I want to make sure everything is pulled out. All the layers are pulled out that's appropriate, including the shirt, the interfacing, and the undercollar. Everything can be pulled out. We can constantly check. So we're going to go a little bit. We're going to check the tension. Things seem to be okay. Now we're going to be hitting the collar soon, and at the same time, we're going to be hitting the undercollar. So everything's going to be, make sure it is pulled. Do a little bit more. And because this is curved, you have to keep pulling it out perpendicular to the direction of the stitch. Now, there's 3 things. There's the shirt, the interfacing, and the undercollar. All 3 of those have to be pulled out. If you really can't see them, a lot of this is going to be by feel. Now, there's going to be some puckering because a 1/2 inch seam allowance is almost too much for a circular seam like this. Perhaps I should have done it 3/8 of an inch and have the collar seam 1/4 of an inch. But again, this is all under the collar, so nobody is going to really notice. So there's going to be a little bit of puckering there. Again, let's just check. That's the interfacing is taut. The undercollar is taut. The garment is taut, and so is the collar. So everything is tightly pulled. Now here's going to be a little bit more puckering at the collar side. Again, because we have a very wide seam allowance. I should not have done that. So we're just going to have to live with that. Again, we got to make sure that the interfacing, and now we've gone beyond the interfacing. Now we're at just the inside collar. We got a lot of puckering here at the yoke, top of the yoke. Okay, we're gonna have to live with that, but this is all gonna be safely under the collar, so it's out of sight, out of mind. But still wish it happened. So next time we keep the seam allowances less than a half 5/8 of an inch. Okay. Circular seams are among the most tricky. Now let's make sure now we're back to the interfacing. Make sure that the under collar is pulled, the interfacing is pulled. Make sure, now where is that? Okay, it's right there. The interfacing, now that almost got folded under, okay? This almost got folded under the foot, and now it's all pulled out. I'm pulling this, and pulling this all at the same time, just to get everything pulled tight. And now, back, we are almost, okay, we are beyond the boundary of the under collar. Now we are sewing into the interfacing. So we pull that taut, we pull the shirt taut, and keep going like something like this. Then we pull the collar taut. We reach inside here, make sure the shirt and the interfacing are fully out. And it looks like we can go ahead and make a straight run right to the end right here. Sure, a little bit more that we can do there. This is where it gets tricky because there's a lot of fabric between that interfacing and the facing, or the actual outside of the shirt. It's not going to be perfect, but let's go ahead out to the end like that. Now, here you have the collar, and we check the underside. It looked like things went okay with the interfacing, okay? The thing, we had a little bit of puckering here on the collar, but the collar, the back of the yoke, the collar is going to hold and conceal that. And now, that's the top side. Now, let's do the down, going down each side of the front of the shirt. Like that, okay? Now, we start from the top, like this. Now, again, as you work, if I work my way down, I make sure that this is out all the way, something like this. And this is much easier now because there's no curvature. The curved stuff is the most difficult. And that's one of the most time-consuming parts of a garment. The shirt is worse. The pants don't have as much except right in the crotch area, but that's a lot simpler than working the collar of a shirt. A man's shirt, or any shirt or blouse, are among the most challenging to stitch. Now, if you think this is hard, I had a friend of mine overseas I met. He wanted me to make a dress shirt like this, but all out of heavy, clear vinyl. You can imagine trying to do what I just did with sticky, clear vinyl. It took several hours. See, I just did this in what? We got a little over half an hour to do this. A clear vinyl shirt, this would have been in what, 4 hours just to do what I just did. So, okay, we did one side now. We're now about ready to go down the other side. Something like, let's see that. Okay. Okay, again. Make sure it is fully out. Like that. We press down on it. Like that. And we stitch down the top seam. Okay. Something like that. Let me check, take a look. Any comments at all? Yes, let me take a quick look and see what we got going here. Oh, things look okay there. Things look okay there. All right. Okay. All righty. All right, just stitch right on down the line like that. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, that pulled, get that pulled. A little bit of puckering there, but I think because this fabric stretches differently than the other, but it's fine. Okay, now we're done. Okay, now we've got now the collar. Actually, let's do this. Let's go back to the main camera, which is, let's see, bring the mouse over here. Roland. We bring, let's see, there we are. Okay, now, here you see the collar, and this is the outside. So it's going to come down, and the collar will look something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and just try, actually, what we should do is take this shirt off, and the overshirt off, and we're just going to try this on. Now, granted, there's no snap, no buttons, no nothing, and let's see, that's the right, let me make sure I got that right. Okay, actually, the other way around. Okay, the yoke goes in back, collar goes in back, something like that. Oh boy. Where you go? Wait a minute now. Oh, the collar got folded up under. So that's the collar, goes out like that. So this, of course, since there's no back to it, there's nothing to pull the yoke behind. But there we are. The collar, it was snapped together, something like that. That's how. Let's see where. That okay. There you go. That's what it's going to look like. Something like that. Okay. So okay. Now the next. The next thing we have to do, we have to put the snaps on. We got the collar on. We got the interfacing and the undercollar all in place. That's the hard part. Now we put the snaps on. Now, with that, we're going to do that on the table. So I'm going to bring up the main microphone and the camera for the table, which is right here and right there. Oops, why didn't that work? Okay, what did I do? Oops. Am I on the wrong? Wait a minute now. Oh, I gotta go back to here. Okay, that's a mistake. Okay, now, in order to see this, I think we're gonna have to we're gonna zoom this camera back. It is all the way back. So that's gonna be tricky. Okay. If I lay these snaps, we're gonna be doing that. So let's get this stuff out of the way. Okay, so the snaps are going to be put down the front like that. And on the other side, so actually what I should do, yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to do something like that. All right, so what we have to do is get all the material for the snaps out, which are, let's see. We need the hammer. We need the snap pairs. Okay, that, and we need the need the form. So you get the hammer. These are the snap units, and these are the forms. Now, this is where you gotta be careful. Okay, when the shirt goes on, okay, this is how the shirt looks from the front. Okay, here's the collar, something like this. Okay, now the left-hand side of the shirt goes over the right-hand side like that. Okay, so the snaps face out from the left-hand side of the shirt. Okay, so let's once again go to the other camera. Let's see, that is that camera. All right, so when I put this on, again, yeah, this is the left. The shirt buttons with the left-hand side over the right-hand side, okay? It's my left, your right, as you face me, my left as I face out. So the outside of the snaps go here. So I would take this off, holding this in my hand. All right, this is the side where the snaps have to face out. So the face of the snap, the decorative side faces out. So that will be facing downward because the decorative side faces out. That means the pins will face up towards me. Then the mating half then that's installed on it. I pour these out. These are the snaps. I want to make sure that this is like so they don't come. You get poured on the floor. Okay. The face side, the jewel side is that. It's hard to, let's see, can we do this? I don't know if it's going to work or not. Let's try to bring that closer. Let's see if we can do a better job focusing on that. Bring that like so. So here's what the snap, oh, come on. Let me do better than that. Yeah, that's what the snap looks like right there. Okay, so this, bring this to here. This is the top. Now this is inside. Remember, this is the outside there. Now we're going to do a standard of, we're going to put the corner like so. No, actually the corner goes at the half-inch mark right there. The snaps will go along the 1-inch mark. That's going to be the center of the shirt, 1 inch away from the edge, okay? So the snap line is going to go here. The first snap is going to go 1 inch, about 1/2 inch from where the corner here meets. The corner is going to be the half-inch line. You go in an inch, it's going to be about 1 inch down from here. So the snap is going to go right where my finger is. So what you do, there's a piece here. Let's see if I remember right. This is the piece. So you put the snap in here. This prevents the jewel. No, see, no, it's this one, I think. It prevents the jewel, the pearl, from breaking. So what we do, we put the snap like so. And we line up the snap as best as I can. Now, none of my things are perfect, but again, you don't notice it from 20 feet away or even 5 feet away. Okay, we line it up at a known cross point in the grid on the table. Now, knowing that, that's going to be 1 inch down. So we put the corner, let's see, we put the corner, it's going to be 1/2 inch from that grid line, just be a little bit beyond, over the tool. So it's going to be about 1 inch in over the tool. So it's going to be something like this, like that. And you carefully press down. Now the pins, you have to press down so the pins poke up through the fabric. Now this can get tricky if the fabric gets, if it's really heavy fabric, you cannot use these snaps. You have to use the larger snaps where I use the special tool. Okay, now I'll double check with the shirt I'm wearing. Okay, so the opposite side of this is the female hook, the one right here, okay? It's not the one with the pin, which is this one. I know you can't see them, but this is the one with the hole. This have to go over this, and you have to be really careful to line it up with the flanges that are on the head. Okay, if they shift, then the thing will, that's funny, the thing would not go on right. You have to make sure they're on right without doing anything else. You do 1 gentle pound to lock that in, loosen that. That's not done now. Then what you have to do, you take this piece here, you carefully lay it on top of the snap like that, but don't do any side-to-side motion. Then you pound that in. What that does, it presses the tongs into the rim, and it forces them to bend to lock that into place. And this is what it looks like on the outside, if you can see that right there. So we did one. Now, what I generally do, at the top of my shirts, I'll do a second snap about 2 inches down from that, but still 1 inch in. Okay, so let's again, 2 inches from there. We'll take this, line it up with a known cross point. So we put the previous snap right here, 1 inch in. Okay, the next snap would be 2 inches down, something like that. We carefully push that down, push the fabric down so that the tongues poke through the fabric like that. There's 5 of them, okay? So they're sticking up through the fabric, and you can feel them, okay? All right, now you grab another female hook, put that over the tongs like that, cross your fingers, hit it. Then once you hit it, you feel it. If you feel any tongs, and you know you have to take it out and start again. Now, once again, we take the tool. The reason we use this tool is that you don't want to hit the center with the finger, because that can bend the springs that hold the male in. Now let me put a male next to it. So this is the male that is a counterpart to this female. Okay, that's going to go on the other on the other side of the garment. So let's put that on there very carefully. Give it a couple of gentle taps with the hammer. Make sure that no tongues are sticking out. And there you go. There's the first 2 snaps. Now, after the first 2, which are 2 inches apart, I do generally 3.5 inches between the snaps all the way down the front of the garment. And by the way, snaps are the only thing I use. I never use buttons, because buttons require stitching a buttonhole. Buttons come out. I find them a general pain in the neck. Now, what I do here, by the way, let's get this so you can see it. I line the tool and the snap so it is on a 1/2 inch point, like that. So it's going to be 3.5 inches. 1, 2, 3.5. The previous snap is going to go here, which you can just barely see. So I'm going to put the previous snap right there on that point of the grid. And then carefully move the fabric down so it touches the snap, the back of the snap again. I press down to get the tongue sticking up through the fabric like that, okay? Now we grab another female hook, like that, get it on, oops. It's so easy to get these out of alignment. I think that's okay. Tap it, check it. Nothing. Again, now you gently place the tool on top. A couple soft, firm taps. Check it. Okay, that one's okay. 3.5 inches. That's what it looks like. And put this here. Put another head into it on a 1/2 inch line. So here we are. This cross point here, it'll be 1, 2, 3.5 of the previous snap is going to go right there where my finger is. So we take this. You have to be very careful. You don't want to move this. So you hold this like so. Put that at that cross point. 1, 2, 3.5. And the way to know it is that the edge of the garment will go right here, which is 1 inch away from where the snap is supposed to be. So something like that. Double check. Check again. Bring it down. Okay. Then we do that. The tongues are poking up. We take the female, again, the female hook, put it right on the center, whack it down, check and make sure no tongues are sticking up from outside of that circle. Put the tool down, and put it gently, tap it, like that. Okay, now, that's that one. Make sure that doesn't feel very tight. I'm going to go ahead and do some more taps on that one. Move that up so it's a little better in the camera. Put that down like that. Yeah, that's good and tight. Now, let's see. The next one is going to be again right there. Let's see. Right there with the previous snap is going to be right there. So this one goes here, right at the crosshair between on this line and on the 1/2 inch line on my vertical. The previous snap is going to go here. The edge of the garment is going to go here. So let's do that. Holding this up so it won't inadvertently bump into that snap. You want 1, 2, 3.5, so it's going to be right here. So again, you put the edge of the garment right here. Doing that, and you carefully lower this down without moving it. That's why I hold it taut. Okay, again, punch the tongues through the holes like that. Okay. It took years to perfect this system. There are so many snap systems made. Some of them use a special plier-like tool that in most cases is so cheaply made that it will fall apart after making 1 or 2 shirts. This is a pretty good system. These are made by Dritz, fairly well known accessory company for sewing. So that looks okay. That tap down. We put the tool down on there like that. Right there, let's see how things look. Things look pretty good. This is slightly out of alignment, but you know, it's fine. Okay, now we come over here like that. Let's see. Okay, put that at the half-inch line right there. The previous snap is going to go there. Grab one of these snaps. That right there. Then we grab one of the female sockets. Now the previous snap is going to go here in line, but the edge of the garment is going to go right here. So I lift this up, move this down, so that snap is right on that line, and the edge is right there, and then pull this taut with my left hand and bring it down like that. Now, with commercially made shirts, all the button placement and stitching, of course, is all done with automated equipment, okay? Because, you know, that's the only way to survive. You're making millions of shirts. You're not going to do it this way. And, however, what's interesting is sometimes that equipment can get out of adjustment, and you get new shirts in the stores. A button already came loose and fell off. Now, naturally, at a thrift store, I have come across so many shirts at thrift stores with is missing one or two buttons, okay? This is why I really like doing things this way. Now, let's see, we're going to do that. So we got this, again, once again, on the half line, like that. Let's see, 1 inch on the inch line, heavy line horizontal, half line in the vertical, okay? Then we take the previous snap, it's going to go here. The edge of the shirt is going to go there. We hold this tight, but above where it's going to go, like that. We line the snap up, we line the edge up. Whoop, I moved it. That's the thing. Yep. They're so light, and they move so easily. You get that in the right position. Now, hold this tight, like that, and you bring it down, like that. Okay, now, something like that. Then we hold that in there. Okay, we got the female hook on there. Tap it gently. Make sure nothing is sticking up. Take the tool, put it down on it. Okay, now that takes care of the outside snaps, the right hand and the left hand side of the shirt. There you go. That's what the snap line look like. Now, that's that side. Now we have to do the other side, the mating snaps. Now, they go on the other side, but now they have to, the prong of the male has to stick up because the female made it like that. So we pull this down. We know that the top, the corner, it'd be like something like this, where the top here, I see, oh, you can't see that. Oops, oh, let's get that like that. Okay. All right, so here you take this side, the side of the side of the front right there, the outside on this line here. You take the side of the collar and you have it intersect this line here, okay? So the first snap is going to go right here, 1 inch in, 1 inch down, okay? Now, this is going to be the opposite. So you have the inside ring, which is this. Let me zoom in, actually, let me put this there. The pair that we're going to use is this, so let me zoom into that. And let me see if I can focus onto that. All right, and let me pull back. The camera's got a special feature to automatically zoom in to let you focus. What did I just see? Okay. All right, that's nothing there. I don't have to worry about that. Okay, now, let's zoom back out so we can see more what's happening. Oh, no, I wanted to show you. So this here is the part that goes under the shirt. That's the clamp. This is the male hook right there. That is what would go in to the hole, which is on the female hook, which is that. That's the one I just put on the other side of the shirt. So let's move that aside. Let's move the camera back so you can get a better watch on what I'm going to be doing. So let's go back to something like that. Now, okay, now, so we will put this here knowing that, okay, we're going to be careful. We have to visually line up the top to one corner and the front to the other. Slowly push down like that. Do you feel the pins? Again, you press down like that. Now, mind you, you notice that we're on the yellow surface. This is the outside of the shirt. One time I wasn't thinking, and I put these on the white side or the inside. You don't want the male hook to be on the inside. It has to be the outside to face the female hook, which is on the inside and the other side. So here we go. Again, you make sure that the pins are lined up. Now here we have to be very careful in tapping it, because you don't want to damage the male hook that's on here. Let's do that. And being that that may not be fully engaged, now I'm going to find the other tool. There it is. Okay, we carefully place the tool down so that we don't move it side to side at all. That down, and you tap it. These are easy to misalign. Okay, that looks like that's got lined up. It's in a pretty good position. Okay, and that's what the other side looks like. Okay, we don't care about that. Now, you go 2 inches off of that one. Now let's put the next one in. Like that. Okay, we got, this is on a cross piece right there. Okay. The previous snap is going to be 2 inches down. Remember, this is a second snap, okay? The edge of the garment is going to be right here. So I'm going to hold this down like this. Then hold it tight and gently come down to the piece I just placed on the table. Again, punch the tongs through like that, okay? Then we take another male hook, put that in place like that, okay? Tap that in place, okay, gently now, so not to damage the hook. Take the tool, place it on, make sure it straddles the male cap, you punch it down. It looks like those are pretty well lined up. Now the next one is going to be 3.5 inches down. So again, let me make sure we Okay, so the 1/2 inch mark there, right there. 1, 2, 3.5, one down for the edge. So we take the snap, line it up to this piece here, and take the edge and line it up to this line here. Okay. Once we do that, we hold it down firmly. We carefully and slowly move the other one down so it touches the tongs in the other snap. Okay, that's now punched through. We grab another male hook. Let's see, where's one right there? We tap that, 1, 2, 3, very lightly. Just enough to get them slightly bent so it is kind of locked in place. Tap this. Nothing wrong. Make sure it is 3.5 inches. Now you do have to pay attention. One time I had put one 3 inches down by mistake and all the others were off. Now, actually, you know what? Let's stop right here. Make sure that the other side is indeed 3.5 apart. So you get 2 inches apart in the first one, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5. So they're fine. Okay. Okay. Always pays the check. Now, again, we're going to go on the 1/2 inch line right there. Okay, this is going to be 3.5. 1, 2, 3.5. Okay. The fabric line, the front, the side of the garment is going to go right here. Lift this up, line the snap onto the vertical line, line the fabric onto that horizontal line, which is 1 inch down, and slowly bring it down. Then, once again, punch the tongs through. Okay. Do that on. Tap it in place. Tool down. 1, 2, 3, 4. About 4 taps. Gentle taps. Now, don't try to punch a hole into the table. Let's see. Grab another one. Let's see, that's going to be right here. Another male, which is right here. Now we bring again 1, 2, 3.5. The edge goes here, the snap goes there. So put the edge right there. Slowly bring that down, let it touch like that. Okay. All right. Put the male on top, make sure it's lined up like so. Okay, that's on. Tap that in place like that. There we are. Okay, so that one's good. All right, now let's see. Okay, but again, once again, 1/2 inch. The 1/2 inch line, we'll grind another male pin right here. The previous snap goes here, the edge goes there. So again, line the snap up with the grid on the vertical, line the edge on the horizontal edge 1 inch away, gently come down and feel it right there. Get those tongs poked through the fabric like that. Take the male hook, get that on there. Then we go 1, 2, 3. Okay, we got this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's on. We got one more snap to do here, which is going to be, let's see, down there. Let's see, this one here. Okay, again, 3.5 inches in. Find another male hook right here. So the previous one, 1, 2, 3.5. This goes right here. Edge of the fabric goes right there. So again, bring that over like that. Get that lined up with the edge and bring it down. All right, bring that like that. Lined up there. Whack, whack, whack. Okay, I think that's it. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on that side. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on this side. Now, before I do anything else, I just realized there is a way I can show you these in a little bit more detail. Okay, let's see. I can find where. Right there. Just getting these lined up. Okay, what I'm going to show you, and there's a trick with this camera. Let's just get these more in line with the camera, something like this. Now, by jiggling with the focus knob, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that the camera will zoom in all the way on electronic zoom. Oh, this is going to be tricky because it's got a time limit. Okay, now, that's the back side. To your left is, okay, the point. This is the male hook here. Whoops, my finger is. That's the male hook. That's what's behind the male hook. This is the female hook here, right there. My finger is. Whoops. That's the female hook. And this, of course, is the front. Now, what's hard to see is that the back side of the female hook has a hook in itself. So the pins, these pins here, the pins here will mate with this cove here. If you pound on it, they get pushed under and lock in. That's what I was trying to show you, but it's tricky. But the camera only stays in the super zoom only once. So now, we got the snaps on. Now, let's make sure we can put these. First of all, you put these away like that. Okay, now, what we're going to do now, we got the snaps in place. We put this away, put these away. Now, go to the main camera, which is that. Whoops, what did I do? Okay, right there. All right, then we bring up the other microphone like that. Okay, now, here is the shirt with the snaps on it. Try to get it on any semblance of order, because it's hard without the back on the shirt. The collar has nothing, the yoke has nothing to pull it down in the right place. Okay. Now, let's go ahead. Make sure all the snaps work. They are quite fragile when you try to put them on, and it's easy to damage them. So I always make sure that they will all snap. And there is the garment right there. That's the front, what it's going to look like. Okay. The collar seems to look okay. All right. The back of the collar, you don't see the back of the yoke where it got a little puckered because that's concealed under the collar. Now, that's the hard part. The next part is to cut and serge the back and put the back on, which is very straight, no snap, no nothing, then the short sleeve. Now, it is now 10:16, so it's a bit late. I'm going to do that the next time. Now, with the hardest part done, the back and the sleeve will probably go together probably well under an hour. I might be able to get a session in tomorrow night, Friday night. I don't know if I can't. It may not be until Monday afternoon. So, we'll see, okay? But at least we've gotten this far, so a space of this was an hour and, nearly an hour and a half, so about 3 hours so far to get this far. But remember, we had a setback with the machine. So this will probably be, by the time we're done, a 3-hour shirt, which is actually not too bad, okay? Considering I had to take it slowly to explain it. If I was just doing it on my own without fiddling with the cameras and running back and forth, this would probably be a 2-hour shirt. I wanted to explain all the stuff as I did it. And hopefully you were able to understand it. So with that, I'll see you either tomorrow evening. I'm trying to think, can I do it? Now, tomorrow afternoon I get that going on until 5 p.m. I might be able to do it at 6 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow. But I can't guarantee it. Of course, I'll try to announce it. It'll be scheduled on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. And of course, these videos will be submitted to Bellingham Television. If you're in the Bellingham area, it'll be on Cable 10 or something like that. And they will remain on my Facebook account and on my YouTube channel. So with that, take care, love you all, and happy sewing.